Hello, boils and ghouls. Welcome to episode 244 of Tales From The Crypt. My name is Jason. I'm joined by Jody.
Hello.
Hello. And Mondo of the Frogman Cult.
Yes, sir. We are going to see Frogman Returns at CFF this week, and I am fucking jacked for this.
And I still need to watch original Frogman so that I can be prepared for Frogman Returns this week.
I always say this when I tell my wife, I get home from the movies and I'm like, oh, I fucking love this movie. I know people, right? I don't know people that well, but I do know my friends who like horror movies, and I'm like, I love this movie. Maybe not for you, right? Well, we all have those movies. Jody, you're gonna love Frogman.
I know I will.
Frogman, as long as you like found footage, Frogman's for you.
And I do love found footage, and I like running around in the woods at night kind of stuff. And that's, yeah.
And as a fellow Blair Witch Project 2 lover, when Eric from the Bloody Good Horror podcast did the interview with the director of Frogman, who I can't remember his name off the top of my head, Anthony Cousins, when he mentioned that he was inspired by Book of Shadows for the new movie, and he's also a fellow Book of Shadows lover, how can we go wrong, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, by the time this comes out, we'll already be back from CFF, but we are in anticipation mode right now. I'm doing like 2 weeks worth of work in 1 week trying to get ready for it.
Frogman Returns is in person only, but if you're listening to this on Monday and you're like, what is Chattanooga Film Festival? The virtual fest goes on, I believe, through the weekend, right? Through the next following weekend. You can still get yourself a virtual badge. One of my favorite things to do with that virtual badge is just throw shorts on. Throw on the shorts. Sometimes, it might be a little bit of background noise, but I absolutely love the shorts. There's always great features, and you're supporting a really, really cool festival with really, really good people that do this as a labor of love.
Yeah, and if you're listening to this on Monday too, usually at the halfway point, they give you like a half price ticket. They will offer that. Follow CFF on socials, and you'll find out about all that kind of stuff.
Now, usually at CFF, there's a theme that they choose. Like I think it was Twilight Zone last year, maybe the year before.
They've done it a few years, not every year.
Yeah, they did The Craft last year. This year they're doing a heavy metal.
Yeah, this year the two retro showings they're doing this year are Friday 13th 6, which my hot take one. So Friday 13th 6, it'll be fun watching it with a big group of people, even if it's not my favorite. And not my favorite Friday 13th, it's still a Friday 13th, so I'm still having a good time.
Jody, I'm wondering if when you see it with a group of people who are going to be having a good time, if that's going to heighten your enjoyment of it. Because there's definitely movies I've seen with a group of people that make the movie better. Like, even if it's a movie I don't like, but I think you'll have a good time at least.
Oh, I'm sure I'll have a good time. And when I say my least favorite, like, I like all of them. Like, it's just not my favorite of them.
Jason Goes to Hell. I'm a defender of that movie. I'm a defender. You guys, anyone who's been a long time listener knows how I feel about Jason 10. So
anyway, they've got Friday 13th 6 and the 1980 something, 83, I think, animated classic Heavy Metal. And nice. I am so excited for that one.
I don't think I've seen that since like middle school.
I mean, I've got it on 4K, but
I watched it maybe 6 months ago with my daughter because she had heard about it and wanted to watch it. So we watched it. She loved it.
It rules. It's so much fun.
There's definitely some animation and some the way they draw some of the female characters that you can definitely tell is from 1983. But Heavy Metal was one of those magazines that the magazine itself it used sex to sell. It really did. But it doesn't mean it was devoid of substance. It just used that to get people to look out on the shelf and be like, oh, I want that. I want the comic with the scantily clad barbarian woman on the front, or whatever.
Riding like an eagle or whatever it was.
Yeah. Well, I've said for a while that Heavy Metal is like the dreams of a horny 13-year-old boy that likes violence, and I'm like, that's kind of the mode I want to be in for that movie. Like, just dumb and violent. It's fun.
Dumb and violent.
So I'm anticipating a fun report back of whether Jody, your opinion has flipped on Friday Part 6, and what your other like gems of the show were.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not even like looking ahead. Some years I look ahead and try to see a bunch of stuff to anticipate, But other than knowing Frogman Returns is going to be there, I haven't followed the releases very much because I'm going to watch it all anyway. So I'm just there to be surprised. Like whatever they put in front of me, that's what I'm going to watch.
I'm very much like you. I know like the big ones that are going to be there, but I try not to look at too much stuff because I've been especially the first year I went when I almost skipped a couple things because of the descriptions that ended up being some of my favorite things at the festival. Yeah. And I really loved just sitting down blind in a movie or maybe reading a little blurb about it and be like, okay, well, this is what we're in for.
Yeah, my favorites every year are stuff that I didn't expect. You know, a lot of times it's a little surprise or something. You just go, you know what? I don't really want to walk, so I'll sit down and watch this movie. And it ends up being like one of the best things you watch all week.
We need to do Lola for the podcast. I still think you haven't seen Lola.
I have not.
And that was still my favorite from that year. And I need you to see this gem of a film.
And who are you guys meeting there from our little podcast community?
Joe Ferry will be there. We're all staying together again.
From Films at First Sight.
Yeah, from Films at First Sight. We will see Kimberly from Fangoria.
And this time, Jody and I are determined to not be so stoned that we don't know who she I couldn't. I just
moderately high.
Yeah, moderately I just walked out of the theater. And I saw this, this young woman like looking at me talking. I was like, oh, they're definitely not talking to me. In my effort to not want to think that someone's talking to me that wasn't, I made it 10 times more awkward. It was fantastic. My friend Allison.
Yeah, is Allison going?
From Films at First, or not Films at First Sight. Who's there?
Nice. That's awesome.
So yeah, we'll have a little crew.
And we'll have some stickers, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've got a big stack.
Yeah, cool. So if anybody sees us, come get a sticker and come say hello. It'd be cool to see people that listen to the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wonder this year, and another kind of deep cut. Last year we met the videographer or editor of the movie 555, the old shot on video slasher. Happened chance I was sitting down at I was sitting down having a beer and some food at this little German place, and I started just shooting the shit with this guy who's a local. He didn't even know about CFF, and then he's like, "Yeah, I worked on a little film no one's ever heard of." I said, "Try us," and he's like, "555." I'm like, "I don't like they've shown that on Cinematic Void." Like, I definitely know 555. And then Joe Ferry, being Joe Ferry, sat down with him and had a conversation about film for like 2 hours. But then the next day, he was there attending the film festival and said, "Hey, he had a great time." So awesome. I hope we get to see him again.
It's all the little random moments that make it so much fun.
Yeah. And shout out to Wake and Bake because we will see you guys again this year.
We'll see.
Jody making that face, but in the moment, you know we're doing it.
We'll see. At last year, I fell down a hole that I couldn't get out of. So, Love
it. All right. But this week, we are crossing one off that, it's been on my list for a while. We did the Amicus Tales from the Crypt movie. I think it was 1972.
Something like that.
Gosh, well over a year ago with Alan Katz.
It's been a while, yeah.
And we were kind of lukewarm on it. There's some good performances. We all thought it was kind of boring and dry. Didn't quite embrace the EC comic zaniness.
For the record, Jason and I were lukewarm on it. Alan was he hated it. He has a hatred. Oh yeah, Jody, you were we
were all there for that one.
You were teetering. I think you and I were teetering towards positive. Yeah, but then the more Alan talked about it, the more I hated it. So
but there was a sequel they made to that a couple years later called Vault of Horror. I'd never seen before, and certainly it's been on our list to watch as an anthology. And I'm glad we have a chance as we're kind of reformatting the show a little bit for what's coming forward. I guess I'll break the news now that we are going to be reviewing the top 40 Tales from the Crypt episodes on Shudder. I've made a curated list. It's going to be somewhat random order. I'm kind of, as we go along, I'm putting some of the heavy hitters a little bit further back. I'll be kind of stacking the deck a little bit here and there. But it's essentially, I went through and picked the 40 best episodes, like the fan favorites and all that. And we'll be doing that. We'll be doing some movies, here and there, for our Fright Rag stuff and just for fun to break things up.
Getting back to our roots.
Exactly.
We did a lot of episodes.
We don't want to go through the entire series just because that's a lot. That's like a couple years worth. This will probably take us probably the end of the year at least.
And we were so fresh into the podcasting realm when we started doing that. It's, you know, I'm not going to say we're good now, but I think we're better than we were back then.
Yeah,
we're at least older.
Yeah, we're older.
Right.
Good's a weird relative term, but you know.
And actually, we're kicking it off next week with our 5-year anniversary episode as well. So big things coming up. But again, we finally got to catch up with Vault of Horror. Jody, tell me what this movie's about.
All right. So do we want to go segment by segment?
Yeah, let's do segment by segment.
Yeah.
All right. So first off, wraparound. 5 very British men get on a elevator. Sounds like the beginning of a joke. But 5 British men get on an elevator, and it goes down to a sub basement that none of them pushed the button for. They just ended up there, and they find this nice, fancy gentleman's club room, and elevator goes away. They can't bring it back, so they're just all sitting around. And as you do, they all started talking about their worst nightmares. The first of their worst nightmares is a story called Midnight Mess. And these are just like the other ones. These came from the comic books. So the Tales from the Crypt number 35 is where Midnight Mess comes from. And so we meet a man named Harold who kills. First, he hires a private detective to find his wife, then kills the detective, then kills his wife to claim her inheritance.
It's his sister.
What's that?
It's the sister.
It's sister. Sorry, not wife. Sister. He kills somebody, but he kills multiple people. The detective and her.
The least conspicuous murder I think I've ever seen in film.
For the record, he's not fucking his sister. It's we don't know. We don't think he is.
It doesn't indicate that.
They're strange. That's kind of the point. Is that their I think their mother or their father, whatever the last relative has passed away, but they left the inheritance to the sister that she's estranged from everybody, so he goes looking for her.
Right. And so after murdering, as you do, he went to go get a snack. He sat down at this local restaurant. They handed him a little red drink of some kind, and he thought it tasted weird. And then they handed him a bowl of looks like red soup, but Tales from the Crypt, it's blood. And this restaurant's all full of vampires. And one of the vampires that walks out is his sister, who's not dead because she was already the undead. And he becomes the big treat at the restaurant because they hang him upside down and put a tap into his jugular vein to dispense his blood as a beverage. So,
all right, Mondo.
Just to start with, I liked this much better than I liked the Tales from the Crypt movie.
Yeah.
I think they kind of learned from the dryness of this, and this is, and what's funny, this is very much more in the vein of the TV show Tales from the Crypt. My only nitpick I'll say about this first segment is the vampire fangs were the worst vampire fangs I have ever seen. And I still laughed at. Don't get me wrong. I still found the humor in that. And they did some really neat things. Again, the cautionary tale, because when he goes to this town, people are telling him, no, you don't want to be out too late because then they come. Not saying who. You're thinking the hoodlums or the gangs of England or whatever. And then when it turns, then you start putting the pieces together when he goes to this restaurant. And I love too they close the curtains as if like everyone knows they're there, but they still want to have some kind of just a little bit of secrecy. And then I absolutely loved the tap in the neck that they're just pouring his blood as they need it. I don't know, like, medically if that's possible. I don't care. And it's also how you tap a cask beer, which is very popular in England, which they still drink a lot of beer out of, is cask beers. That's exactly how you tap it. So he got his as what I'm trying to what I want to say here, but I enjoyed this first segment.
Yeah, I remember reading this this particular comic, so like I knew where it was going. I was like, okay, fine. But then once the vampires show up and they've got these like ridiculous fangs, and I thought it was just funny. It was just like, okay, these people get the kind of zany vibe of these stories. And there's a great scene where he like pulls back a curtain and there's a mirror, and they do that thing where like everyone's sitting on one, so all the vampire people are like sitting there, but they don't have reflections because it's like it's supposed to be a mirror, but it's not. It's just like a guy looking at like a body double of himself. because the vampires have reflections. So it's just a great little segment, even if you know where it's going.
I love that trope.
It's pretty obvious story. Like, it's not one of the, like, you know, real, like, shocking twist, but it's fun. It's silly, it's goofy, and especially like I said, the vampire teeth. They look like one step above those little plastic teeth that you get like as a set. Just slightly better than that.
It's like was it Nick Cage in Kiss of the Vampire? Vampire Kiss? Yeah, where he gets the plastic teeth. I'm gonna say this about each of these. You know where it's going, but they pull it off really well, and just really fun ways.
Yeah, and there's never an issue with knowing where something's going as long as it makes sense and it's fun. It's like I think we got into this. I think I blame Saw for this, and not necessarily. Yeah, because Saw, you always have the twist, and you don't always need a twist. It's okay.
Well, I mean, we've seen enough of these EC comic things where you kind of know that it's going to work out. It's going to go somewhere macabre and twisted what they're trying to do.
If you show up at a restaurant and the food is weird and all the locals are looking at you funny, they're definitely some kind of monster. Like, it's just guaranteed.
All right, Jody, next.
All right. One of the themes of this movie, by the way, is terrible British men getting what's coming to them. So you'll see a lot of that. So the second story, the neat freak Arthur Critchett. He's getting older and he wants a woman to be a housekeeper, really. He doesn't really want a wife to be a wife. He wants someone to take care of all his stuff. But he is very particular to the point that he is constantly nagging her. You know, you moved something, you changed something, you did something wrong. And she is trying her best to, I guess, be a good little 50s wife in the 70s when this movie came out. But she's working hard, living that trad wife life, and he still is never happy. He is still upset at everything she does. And he says, "Can't you do anything neatly?" And she snaps and she kills him with a hammer right to the middle of his head. And then, because she's neat and organized now, she cuts up his corpse into all of the various pieces, puts them in nice little jars with a little label on them. So, she can do some things neatly.
Yeah, this one, I really love this one because they kind of said this guy's like totally anal retentive. He even like lists out all of the contents of his cabinet. So that if she uses something, she has to immediately replace it. Yeah. I'm like, it's really over the top. And he has this whole workshop in the basement with all of his screws are organized by type and size and thread and all that. And then at one point she's alone and it just turns into like a Rube Goldberg type of thing where like every time she tries to clean something, she just makes it worse and worse. And her physical acting, I thought was hilarious. I was laughing out loud just how it escalates to like when she leaves a cup on the table, it leaves a water stain. So she goes down to the workshop to get some oil, wipes it down, but she knocks over the oil can. So she has to move the rug and then she bumps into the painting and it falls off the wall, so she has to go back down to the workshop to get a screw, but she like pushes the whole thing falls out. It was just really, really funny.
It's very I Love Lucy.
Yes, it was like really macabre.
That's a good one, yeah.
R-rated I Love Lucy, and I grew up watching I Love Lucy, so I was really
me too
tickled by that.
Yeah, same thing. I was a big fan of this. I love the jars at the end. Everything you said, Jason, the Rube Goldberg-esque of her, just like, because have you ever had one of those days where like you fucking drop your phone on the floor, you go to pick it up, while you pick it up, you hit your head on something and knock a glass over, you go to clean that up and you knock something else over, and that's like my nightmare. So this gave me anxiety when that was happening, but I absolutely loved it. And how can you hate a good hammer to the skull?
Yeah.
And I just love the fact that she's like, well, we gotta do something about this body, we might as well do it organized. But anybody out there that needs to kill their husband for any reason whatsoever, don't like keep the evidence at your house. I feel like that's just I feel like that's just you're asking to get caught.
I mean, or just make it really neat so they can find all the pieces.
As a music nerd, I was scoping out his like LP setup. I'm like, what fucking record player and like receiver? What vintage receiver is that? That probably costs like $3,000 now because people are stupid.
Yeah. No, I really like this one. This was fun. I thought it was gonna be collection completed, but it was a comic I hadn't read before, so I was very pleasantly surprised by that.
And it's always nice too when you have the terrible spouse, the terrible husband getting their comeuppance.
Yes.
And getting their comeuppance in a way that you lived OCD, and now in death you can also be properly organized and have OCD.
And the husband, I'm looking up right now. Is he like the headmaster from the Pink Floyd Another Brick in the Wall video?
It might be.
What a deep cut.
He looked very much like him.
Not sure. I couldn't tell you that. The actual Pink Floyd music video or the
they made a music video for Another Brick in the Wall from the movie The Wall. So it's they kind of like edit it from there. I'm looking it up, but you guys can, Joey, we can go ahead.
Okay. All right. So instead of listening to us Google things, the next story is called This Trick Will Kill You. And in this one, we meet a man named Sebastian, who is a magician who's on a holiday in India, which, when you start hearing British people talk about India, it gets a little touchy just immediately. But first off, I said terrible man. This guy's a dick from the beginning. Like, there's a magician doing his act in front of a crowd, and he walks up to the magician's like, let me explain how you did every trick, and reveals it all in front of him. Just a jerk. He says, as a fellow magician, and then proceeds to spoil everything. I don't think fellow magicians are supposed to do that. Anyway, so he's actually there to try to basically steal tricks from magicians in India. And nothing impresses him until he sees a girl, the girl who's working with the magician at the beginning, charming a rope out of a basket with a flute. So she's playing the flute, the rope goes up to the ceiling, and it stays up there suspended in the air so much that she's able to climb up on it. And he has no idea how it's done. He's inspecting the whole thing. And so he persuades her to come up to his hotel room to show his wife the trick. And it's easy, you know where it's going. There's murder coming. And they can't figure out how to make the rope work. Sebastian finally plays the flute, and the rope just starts doing it on its own. And they discovered real, genuine magic. So they begin to plan out how to work it into their act. And the wife climbs up the rope, and then she just screams and disappears all of a sudden. There's a patch of blood on the ceiling. Then the rope begins to strangle Sebastian and fight with him. And then the lady who they killed is once again back in the bazaar working with the magician, and she witnesses the rope finish him off.
All right, Mondo.
And not finish him off like everybody's thinking.
No. That's not what the rope did. It's around his neck. Well,
how much would someone in autoerotic asphyxiation pay for this trick?
That rope would be worth a lot of money in
right? Fucking David Carradine would still be alive. Like if he just had this goddamn rope. Okay. Anyhow, the moral of this story is: if a weird British guy asks you to go to his hotel room and show you how to charm his rope, you don't do it. But if you're going to, have a plan, and she had a plan. I really enjoyed this. I love the effect of the rope coming. When I was first watching this, I'm thinking like, if they're trying to tell me that's a snake, like I'm gonna be very very upset because I'm watching this rope come up. But I love the way they did it. Was this also the one? Does he go to the voodoo priest in this one? Or is that the next one?
That's the next one. Next story.
Okay. But yeah, no, and the wife sucks too. She's also a bad person, and they got their comeuppance. And I love the fact that like there's these people in India, and they're obviously not really that. They know their audience, and when someone's gonna come up and be an asshole, and someone's gonna try to steal their tricks, they're gonna make them pay for it. And there's really nothing wrong with that. I don't see them as they're the good guys in this story. But I like the effects of the rope too at the very end, with it just whipping around and kind of doing its thing. And it's always kind of fun when someone's afraid of just like what should be an inanimate object that should not create any terror in someone's heart, or maybe it might be, you might even enjoy it if it's you're someone like David Carradine. But anyhow, I really did enjoy this segment. This is another. I think so far. I think we're 3 for 3 on segments. To be honest with you.
Yeah, this is at first I was like, ew, where are we going with this? And it's fun because they're doing the rope, but you can kind of see a string that they're like pulling the rope up by if you look closely. But he's like, there's nothing above it. How's that happening?
Yeah, they weren't. Yes, they weren't in the movie. They didn't actually figure out a way to make the rope levitate to film it. I'm sorry.
Right. I'm saying like, but we could still see like the piano wire or whatever it was.
This is one of those times when HD is not a friend to the special effects.
Exactly. So that just kind of gave it like an extra level of camp. It's kind of like when you watch like War of the Worlds, so like the old one. You can see like the strings on the ships. And it kind of reminded me of that scene in Nightmare on Elm Street where Rod gets strangled by the thing, where like they're kind of doing it backwards. I'm curious if Wes Craven was inspired by this at all. It's a cool effect. I love when the wife climbs up and she like just disappears.
Yeah, she just screams and vanishes.
Well, but they had the blood stain on the ceiling. The blood starts slowly dripping down. I kind of like that.
Yeah, that was really cool.
And you really never explain how that happens, but I'm okay with it.
But you don't need it. So yeah, this is a fun one, and especially for one that could have gone sideways pretty quick too.
Yeah, especially the rope effects at the end, I think, were some of the most fun because while you could see the rope in the actual trick where they're playing the flute, in the other part, I couldn't tell exactly how they managed to animate the rope like that. It was really fun looking. It was a cool effect.
Well, yeah, I think they were editing it quick enough where there's someone probably just going with the rope. Yeah, I do sound effect, and like just to make it like move and stuff, and then they just edit real quickly. Or in other ones, I think they just did like reverse filming. So they just like put it around his neck and then pull it out and then film it reverse, so it looks like it's going around by itself.
Either way, it was a cool way to end that one. And again, like all the other segments, I felt nothing for the guy who was getting murdered at the end, other than contempt. They're all terrible.
He got exactly what he deserved.
Yes.
All right. Our last one is called Drawn and Quartered. And this guy does... Wait, did I miss one? Oh, wait, I did. Bargain in Death. So, in this one, a man named Maitland is planning an insurance scam with his friend Alex. He is going to pretend to be dead. They're going to bury him, and then Alex is going to get him out of the coffin. But Alex double crosses him, leaves him in the coffin to suffocate. Meanwhile, on a side quest, 2 trainee doctors, who I did not realize until I'm looking at this right here, Tom and Jerry, bribe a gravedigger to dig up a corpse so that they can study it. When the coffin is opened, they take his coffin that he's slowly suffocating in. He jumps up, gasping for air, and Tom and Jerry run off into the middle of the road. And Alex happens to be driving down that road, and it causes him to crash and explode his car. And when they get back to the gravedigger's like, "Don't worry, I took care of it for you." And he took a shovel and smashed it in the middle of Maitland's head. So, yeah, nobody wins in this one, and that's fine too.
Yeah, I like the car crash really caught me off guard. It was a very sudden, very explosive car crash. I don't know what cars back then were made out of, but it goes boom really quickly.
I mean, was that the era of the Gremlin where they had to recall them because if it got rear-ended too hard, it would explode?
Yeah.
But you know what car has the highest fatality rate of any vehicle of all time?
What?
The Cybertruck.
Is that in the last couple of years we've already beat any other brand?
Yeah, you give someone who's not really that good with science all the money from an emerald mine, and it turns out he makes shit that's not that good.
Yeah,
we can do.
Shocking.
And becomes a trillionaire. America.
Yeah. Again, this is one that like you knew what was going to happen, at least with the guy in the coffin.
Oh, yeah.
Why the other guy was driving by the exact cemetery he just buried the guy alive in, who knows?
To gloat.
Yeah. It had some fun narration too. I kind of like that, where he's kind of like it reminded me of like Dig That Cat, where the guy's in the coffin and he's kind of telling a story. Because for a moment I was like, are they redoing Dig That Cat in some way? obviously it wasn't, but it's kind of similar in those respects. So I was kind of curious about it.
Part of me, when I saw the guy in the coffin with the lighter, I'm like, that just looks really cozy. Like I'm watching this, I'm like, that doesn't seem that bad. Like, yeah, you're gonna die, but like, until you run out of air, you're just gonna be comfy. Like you're gonna get some sleep.
Well, also like burning a match or whatever, and when you're running low on oxygen is not a good idea.
Yeah, but if you want the audience to be able to see you, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Well, yes.
I think the lesson from this one is a lesson that we get from a lot of Tales from the Crypt episodes is if you're going to be a criminal, don't have a partner, because they were both in the middle of double crossing each other. Like neither one of them was going to actually, you know, fulfill their end of the bargain.
I do love that was kind of the Romeo and Juliet setup too. And so like right when he said he's going to do that, I'm like, oh, this never works. This has never worked in the history of any kind of media. William Shakespeare knew this shit wasn't going to work.
Oh, that's funny. But yeah, it was a fun one. All right, now Jody, drawing quartered.
Yes. No, I still can't believe those guys were Tom and Jerry.
You know what's funny that is very much William Shakespeare too, because like he often put duos in there like Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, the Gravediggers and stuff that were just in there for kind of well, they had serious roles, but they were comedic relief at the same time.
Yeah. We haven't had a good Mondo Shakespeare fact in a while. I appreciate that.
Yeah, speaking of which,
Shakespeare a lot on the show for some reason.
I do love Shakespeare. Speaking of which, they've been doing a really cool Godzilla series, like Godzilla and the Classics. So they just came out the comic of Godzilla and the Odyssey, which I think is a good time to do that. But they also did Godzilla and Romeo and Juliet, where it's just a story of Romeo and Juliet, but now they have to deal with Godzilla also being around.
Nice.
It's pretty fun.
That's fun.
All right, so our final story now is drawn and quartered, and we meet a guy named Moore who is an artist living in Haiti. He's very poor, and he finds out though that the art dealers have actually been selling his paintings for a whole lot, and the paintings have been praised by a critic named Fenton Breedley, all of whom told him that they were worthless. They all tricked him, and they're making a ton of money, and he's broke in Haiti. And so he goes to a voodoo priest, and his painting hand is given some voodoo power. Whatever he paints or draws can be harmed by damaging his image. So he paints a self-portrait that he keeps under lock and key to prevent the magic from turning on him. And then he returns to London and he paints the portraits of the three men who betrayed him, Dilton, Gaskill, and Breedley. So he gets revenge on, he mutilates the paintings and it kills them. Like one of them, he says, oh, you said you couldn't see anything in my paintings? Well, you'll never see again. And he pokes the eyes out of the painting. And then at his home, the guy, his wife finds out he's cheating and throws acid in his face, blinding him. So whatever happens to the painting happens in some way. How did the second guy? I don't remember what happened to him. I remember the third guy.
I watched this Saturday morning. Thought we were recording Saturday morning or Sunday morning, and I was very hungover. I was doing my best.
Yeah, I watched this Friday. I don't remember either. What happened to the middle guy?
The second guy dies too. He mutilates the painting. Man dies.
We're fucking old guys. I'm sorry. We're fucking old.
No, okay. There's the one where he draws the dot.
That's the last one. That's the final one.
Okay. Well.
Anyway, so the last guy
is it the car crash? I think one of them died by a car crash.
Okay, I think you're right. I don't remember what he does to make that happen though. Maybe he just tears up the paint.
Yeah.
Either way.
Watch the movie, guys.
No. It's the guy who he crosses off his hands.
Oh, yes, it was the best one.
That was great.
It was the best one. So yeah, he crosses the hands off of the painting, and then the guy is in a place with a giant paper cutter, and he manages to stick his hands in the paper cutter and just chops them off. Right. Rubber hands fall on the ground. It's so good. Thank you for remembering that. I would have been sad if I'd forgotten to talk about that.
The paper cutter, also my favorite jiu-jitsu submission. It does not involve paper nor a cutter, but
all right. All right, and then the last guy is standing there in front of Moore, and Moore draws a red dot on the man's head right between his eyes, and the guy pulls out a gun and attempts to kill Moore, but instead manages to shoot himself in the head right where the dot is. And so he runs back home because he realized he's running out of breath because he stuck his painting in a safe that can't breathe. And so he's suffocating because the painting is suffocating. Sure. So he pulls the painting out in the open, and he realizes he left his watch at the last place he murdered a man. And so he is running back. And while he is running back, a workman drops a can of paint thinner on the picture that he had painted through a skylight. And Moore, as a result, it's just kind of falls apart and dies after being paint thinner coated in his painting. So everybody dies.
All right, Mondo.
I like this one a lot too, and this one had my favorite line of the entire movie when he walks into to see the voodoo priest, and he says, "I'd like to buy some voodoo." I fucking laughed for like I had to rewind that scene a couple times. I laughed so hard at that.
Give me one voodoo, please.
Yeah, I'm like, is it that easy? Like, all I do is watch fucking Child's Play movies and fucking memorize the chant. So like, yeah. So if a doll ever shows up in your guys' house, I'm not gonna try to kill you. Just give me some beer and I'll be happy. But no, I like this segment too. And I loved, my favorite death actually was the gunshot to the head, because I love the way it was shot, where you get the first person view. And I love how like the one thing I did was weird though, is instead of holding the gun like you normally hold, he turned it backwards and then held the trigger with his thumb. And I don't think you could, like, I'm not going to try it. I don't think you can shoot yourself. I think it'd be very difficult to nail that little fucking target on your head. But I thought this was a good one too. Like it reminds me of and I forgot the Tales from the Crypt episode where it's the painter repaints people's blood.
Easel kill you.
Easel kill you. It reminded me similar of that with the trope of the starving artist, and again, you have someone who's just not a good person, and at the end of the day causes a lot of mayhem and gets his at the end. I do also love like this old trope where an old friend will come see another friend in a foreign land. I'm like, how'd you know I was here? I was like, well, I happen to be in the city and heard people talking about you. And if I can tell a funny story here, I went to Germany one time, and my buddy Alex was looking for me because I was going to meet him at a bar, this bar called Murphy's Law. And I went home. I went back to my hotel room, so I forgot to bring cash with me because a lot of places you have to pay cash. And again, I was jet lagged, and I laid down in bed and fell asleep. And he was trying to call my phone, didn't answer. So he was going to bars in Regensburg saying, "Have you guys seen an American in here?" And so finally one of them was like, "Yeah, I saw an American in here earlier." So I guess that is a thing that does really happen. As evidenced by my large Viking Austrian friend trying to find me in Regensburg, Germany. But yeah, another good one. Again, I'm going to say this is every segment on this has been a hit.
Yeah, definitely. I really like. There's a lot of really fun acting in here. The guy who plays Moore, first of all, like this like whole beard and hair thing. I was like, yeah, that's living it up. That's really impressive. And then the main guy who ends up shooting himself is Denholm Elliott from Raiders Lost Ark, and I think all the original 3 Indiana Jones movies. So it's always fun to see an actor play against the type that I know him as. And yeah, it's very classic EC comics. Slightly problematic, but it goes off into some fun shenanigans that usually screws over the white guy.
Yeah, usually when I see voodoo pop up on an EC thing, I'm a little bit hesitant because, again, sometimes it's not the most sensitive portrayal. This one, I think it was fine though. Like there was the priestess and he did a little thing, and I don't think we offended anybody in that scene. We just moved on.
Right. And yeah, kind of as we wrap up, I don't think there's a bad one in this bunch. I was very, very impressed by the whole set of episodes. None of them were too long. None of them dragged a lot. This seems like only 90 minutes, so it goes by very quickly, which I really appreciate for an anthology. Because the last thing you need is like one episode to drag the rest down, or they all have like they're all like a couple scenes too long. There's like no fat on any of these.
Well, we get our wrap up to our wraparound story. Remember all the men in the elevator. So they're all, again, talking about their nightmares, and they're kind of pondering the meaning of it. And the elevator doors open back up, and instead of an elevator, there's a graveyard. And so all of them walk out into the graveyard and disappear, except for one, Sebastian, and he remains behind and explains that they are all compelled to tell those stories every day for all eternity, because that was the actual stories of how they died. And so then he turns back into the room. It's now a mausoleum, and walks towards the casket and disappears. So they were dead the whole time. I think it was pretty easy to guess that was the case from the very beginning. But yeah.
So was he supposed to be the vault keeper then?
I guess maybe, but he also had a story too. So I don't know.
I mean, again, that was one of the things we really didn't like about the original, is that instead of like for the quote crypt keeper, it's just the old bald guy in the robe. So like here they're like, we're not even gonna bother trying. So pretty much like all the things we didn't like about the first one, they course corrected here. And I'm disappointed it took me so long to watch this one. I was very impressed.
Yeah, it was a lot more fun than I was expecting. But this was my first time watching it too. And especially after being kind of meh about Tales from the Crypt, I was not expecting much out of this, but it was a lot more fun than I was hoping going into it.
If you guys had to choose, which was your favorite of the bunch?
Probably the last one.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing. There's mainly because of the fun deaths in that one. I just feel like, between poking out the eyes and the acid face and the big paper cutter, there's just a lot of fun set pieces in that one.
Yeah, there's definitely obviously the most kills in that one, so it definitely gets a lot of props for that. I still think I'll go with the neat job, because we had the first one, which was very predictable and it was very classic. Like, okay, we got that. That's fine. This one, I was like, okay, they really understood what they're going for. It's been a while since like a movie's made me laugh, kind of like that. And I was just like, okay, props to you, movie. Good job.
Yeah, the neat job had the most annoying of all of the old British men. So he got a good comeuppance for that one. So I like that too.
All right. Let's do our rating: 0 to 5, 5 being the best, 0 being the worst, half points. What do you guys, Jody? Let's start with you. What do you give this one?
Okay, so I had a lot of fun with it, but it's still, it's still kind of an old British movie. So I'm going to go with 3.5. Great for what it is.
All right, fair. Mondo.
Yeah, I'm right there with Jody. Every segment is solid. Nothing's like you need to go out of your way to see this. But I think it's a fun anthology, and I don't mind the 70s British stuff. Some of it's hit, some of it's missed, but this was like, if anybody out there watched that Tales from the Crypt original movie and was like, God, this was boring dreck, this is kind of the opposite. I think they learned from that one and made this one more entertaining and more kind of a little bit zanier, I guess, for lack of a better term. So 3.5.
I'm going at 4, actually. I really like this. This is like going on my list of all-time favorite anthologies, I think. Nice. I would definitely watch this before I'd watch a lot of other anthologies. Like, again, for an anthology to be like, I don't think there's any weak stories, it's pretty rare. There's usually at least one that you're like, ugh. Like, even you think back to like Creepshow, like the one with the cockroaches. That one always kind of like, come on.
I thought it was fun, but I get it. I get it. I would say too, also with Creepshow, it's a little bit difficult because, I would say that's probably maybe the worst one of the bunch. But there's some that are just so good. Maybe it makes it seem like there's a larger gap between quality, whereas this one, everything was a little more just consistent across the board.
Yeah. Okay, this might be one of the you're right. It's probably one of the most consistently good of them all. All right, let's take a quick break and do a shout out.
She's a real carpenter's dream, flat as a board and needs a screw. Hey horror fans, it's Karen Fields, Judy from the movie Sleepaway Camp, and you are watching Tales from the Crypt.
Where did you get that at?
Oh, that's an old one. I think I got that last summer.
It looks like New York.
Yeah, she's in New York, and that's why I had to brush up the sound. That's why the sound sounds so weird because there's so much background.
Mm-hmm.
I had to put a processor on it, and that's why.
I was thinking, when did you go to New York?
God no. No, Karen Fields, she's a treat. But speaking of horror news, actually I'll put a pin in that. We'll get to it in a minute.
All right.
Mondo, give us your song of the day.
Here's one very, very, very outside of my wheelhouse. So yesterday we had a memorial for a good friend of mine that passed away. His name's Brian Wolf. He was a bartender forever. So I met him from going to Tenaya Creek back when I started going there like in 2008, and just became friends over the years. You know, just when the same guy is serving you beer all the time and you shoot the shit all the time, to the point like the old Tenaya Creek was at the Wild West, where I knew him well enough to where one time he's like, I'm gonna go smoke. If you need a beer, just go back there and pour it. Like it was like one of those kind of places. But we became close over the years, and he passed away from prostate cancer on May 4th. And so yesterday they had a benefit for his family, and also a celebration of life for him at Big Dog's Brewing in Las Vegas. They put his name on the marquee, Wolf Fest, and had signs everywhere for him. But one of his favorite bands, or probably his favorite band, was Widespread Panic, the jam band. If you know me, I do not like jam bands. It is not my thing. But Widespread Panic was his favorite band, and I feel like I need to put a song or two into the rotation of my my Apple Music favorites playlist. So the song I'm gonna pick is because the record they had like a whole spread with a bunch of pictures of him, and someone put a now playing sign with the record of his favorite Widespread Panic album, which is called Every Day, which is a really neat cover, which I wasn't aware of. But the song I picked off that one is called Picking Up the Pieces. So a very sentimental one today. Picking Up the Pieces by Widespread Panic off the album Every Day. He was the guy that every time he went there, I hate high fives too. But not Brian's high five. Brian gave you a crispy high five to leave your hands stinging. And every time you walk in, he greets you with a hey buddy and a big high five, and then you leave and he give you a bye buddy. See you, catch you later. And that was his thing. So one day, man, maybe I'll catch him later. If not, I said like if I die, I don't believe in an afterlife. I'm an atheist. But if I die and I wake up somewhere and he's there with the beers and a high five saying, hey, buddy, I'll know I did something right in this life. So I doubt any of his friends or family are listening to this, but if they are, man. Like, he was very, very well loved, and so many people turned out. And it's kind of we're just kind of saying like hug your loved ones, tell the people around you love them. And it's just a testament to where, like, if you're out there right now and you're struggling with anything mentally and you're thinking who's going to care if I die, trust me, a lot of people are going to care, and a lot of people are going to show up. And I just wish that while we're living, we knew that. Yeah. And it doesn't take, and also I saw a lot of people I haven't seen in a long time. And it's like, man, it's good seeing these people, but why does it take this for us all to come together? So if I can impart a little bit of wisdom in this, it's like, if you're thinking about calling that friend you haven't talked to in years, or calling the uncle you haven't talked to in years, there's no time like the present, because tomorrow might not be there. You never know. But so yep, Widespread Panic. Just give them a listen. They're a cool jam band, and I do know if you go on YouTube, you can find them doing some Black Sabbath covers. Just saying.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
That's one thing, jam bands are really good at, is covers of just about any genre. So
yeah. Yeah. I think the bad taste in my mouth is from Primus, seeing Primus live, and they're not really a jam band, but live they are. And okay, I don't need to hear a 22-minute fucking rendition of Jimmy was a race car driver. And yeah, the song was fine. In that 5-minute block you allotted for it on the record, the song was fine. Like, you don't need to expand that. I mean, Sabbath actually started out as a jam band, really. Like, they would just go, they play these songs and just go in these blues jams. So there's a place for everything.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Mondo.
Thank you.
We only recorded our Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle episode a couple days ago, so we don't really have any horror news. But the one thing I do want to shout out,
there is one thing, and it's probably the same thing you're about to say.
Yeah, go ahead.
Greg Nicotero has made a Crypt Keeper redesign. So have you seen this, Jason?
Yeah, I've seen the pictures, but I was going to say something else.
No, I just thought it was worth pointing out, because in the reveal, there's also a lot of pictures of the Crypt Keeper with our friend John Kassir. posing and having fun with them. But anyway, I don't know what any of this means. I know there are pictures of a Crypt Keeper puppet, and there's John Kassir, and there's Greg Nicotero. And that's all we got. So I don't know if that's just kind of a thing in and of itself, or if it's leading to something.
Let me talk about this for a minute, because first of all, you said redesign, and it's more just like a refresh or whatever. They don't change anything. It's the exact the exact same. It's just fresh. People are speculating, oh, does this mean this? Does this mean a new series? I really don't think so. I really don't think so. I think maybe they'll like sell versions of it. I think I can see that. The only thing I can really see happening with Tales from the Crypt at this point is merchandising.
And I'd be happy for some merch at this point.
For that, but they're not going to do a new series. Don't get anything up for that. People are like, oh, is this mean there's going to be a new series? No, they pay them some money to redo the Crypt Keeper bust to promote the series on Shudder and have like a little photo op to, the Shudder's been really hitting the social media for the Tales from the Crypt, and God bless them for it.
Mm-hmm.
But people are reading into a lot of weird things with this. So,
and you probably know this better than we do, but it is still like a lot of legal stuff still going on around the series.
Yeah, I really don't think that they're gonna make anything new in any time soon. Maybe like another 20 years or something, when pretty much everybody that ever had anything to do with it is gone.
Yeah,
one of the things that could happen, because they have a new model here, they might be able to make Crypt Keeper related merch that is different, because it's no longer just the one from 1990 that's owned by whatever company. But I know this works because the only reason we're getting new Friday the 13th figures this year is they come from Friday the 13th, the game, not the movies. It's just skirting around those copyright issues to let them do it. And so maybe they could do something with that. I would love a little Crypt Keeper from NECA or something. That'd be awesome.
There's stuff with there's stuff too with even the Nightmare on Elm Street series where like Robert Englund owns some of the character or the likeness or something. So like when you see like anything with Nightmare on Elm Street, I think they did something with like Dead by Daylight, and when they did it in Mortal Kombat, it's not Robert Englund as Freddy, it's the Haley I can't remember his name.
Haley
yes, that guy. It's his version of Freddy.
So yeah, I don't think there's any like new content other than merchandising, which sure, why not? The horror news I was gonna bring up, because Karen Fields of Sleepaway Camp fame, Jonathan Tiersten, who played Ricky on Sleepaway Camp, passed away a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I did see that.
And yeah, I'm in like some of the Reddit groups and Facebook groups and stuff, so that kind of made some waves. There really isn't any information about it. They're keeping it pretty private. But Sleepaway Camp was my all-time favorite movie, so I was pretty sad about it. I sent my condolences to Karen, because I chat with her on Instagram. That's how we got the video and everything. So, shout out for another great actor, who had a really great role. All right, we are doing another new thing. We're kind of instigating here on Tales from the Crypt. Something fun to do is I put out a call for hot takes. I went onto the Tales from the Crypt Reddit. I also went to like the R horror and a couple other ones to get more general horror hot takes that we're going to bring up and debate. But tonight I pulled a couple of Tales from the Crypt related ones that I thought would be interesting to discuss. Again, these are all opinions. We might swat some of yours down. We might appreciate some of yours. It's all just in fun. Don't take it too seriously. One of them was related to the Tales from the Crypt, the movie. They said, and All Through the House is overrated. I think they mean like the TV episode, and that the 70s version is better.
No,
it's not awful, but it's not the best episode ever, is what they're saying about that one. I have a theory that the Killer Santa in the TV episode with I'm blanking on his name, Larry Drake is a better Killer Santa than the one in the movie. I think the actress in each of them, the lead actress, the one in the movie is better than I'm blanking on all the names right now, but the movie actress is better. TV Santa is better.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that.
Yeah, I respect that too, I guess. But yeah, no, I think you're right. But I do think the
Larry Drake
the Tales from the Crypt series, yes,
yeah,
it's superior. Period. End of story.
I do think that the Robert Zemeckis directing is better than what we had in that one. So yeah. And then kind of tangentially attached, someone said that all killer Santas just need to be loved.
I mean, Billy from why am I blanking?
Sound like Deadly Night.
We're all very old.
Your favorite movie, Jody? Like one of your favorite
yeah,
movies
it
ever
is
made?
one of my favorite movies. Those are the worst ones. You know, you can lose a word from time to time and not be able to recall something, but when it's something like and you can't come up with it, hate that.
What's the thing I love that I can't remember?
So Silent Night, Deadly Night. Billy needed hugs through that entire movie.
Mm-hmm.
The poor kid goes through so much trauma. He was destined to become a killer Santa Claus. It just happens that way. If that nun had not been beating him constantly, maybe he would have turned out different.
Now the question is whether Goldberg from Santa Slay needed a hug. I don't think that would have done much for him.
Yeah, he doesn't need a hug. He's just a guy with a bad attitude.
No,
he's just not a nice person.
Yeah, I was thinking about Krampus, whether he needed a hug or not.
So again, you have to separate from killer Santas based on like humans dressing up as Santa and becoming killers versus supernatural Santas. Supernatural Santas, they don't need a hug. They have a purpose. They were created for a purpose, and that purpose is evil. You can't do anything about that.
All right,
although Deathstalker proved differently, that sometimes a monster just needs a hug.
Yeah.
Maybe a little kiss in the forehead.
All right. Yeah, I had a friend in town the other day, and I showed him the Deathstalker trailer. Now I'm itching to watch it again. Okay, our last hot take for the night. Season 1 was peak Crypt Keeper because the puppet was a little more rudimentary. It was more uncanny. And John Cassier's more guttural voice sounds way creepier.
Guttural. I just heard someone on the podcast say museum, and I was just very, very angry about this. But
there's a clip going around where someone on the cooking show calls a microwave.
Oh my fucking god! Oh my fucking god! Like, are we just trying to fucking make up pronunciations for shit to try to sound sophisticated?
Like microwave.
Oh my fucking god! Like this reminds me of years ago. I can't remember what fucking talk show he's on, but Dr. Phil's dumbass was up there saying, "I know all about that rodeo drive." I think it was Conan O'Brien's like, "Shut up! You know it's Rodeo Drive. You've lived in fucking LA for like 15 years. Quit trying to get rid of this Southern bullshit. Nothing wrong with the South, but don't pretend like you don't know what fucking Rodeo Drive is, right?"
No, nobody hates a fake Southerner more than Southerners.
Yes.
Right.
Fuck yes. Anyhow, I will say that I respect the opinion. Like, if you want a darker, grittier Crypt Keeper, that's going to be the version you want, right? Like, because it was darker and a little bit more demonic, I guess. But for me, there is actually, in my opinion, something kind of creepy about a Crypt Keeper that really enjoys his work.
Yeah.
And he's over here chopping people's fingers off and laughing about it. Like, this is the best day ever. I got to chop some fingers off and fucking do some finger painting. So while I don't agree with this person, I do respect that opinion. Like, I can understand, like, based on your vision for the Crypt Keeper, why you might like that one better. But I do think, though, if that would have kept going throughout the series, I don't think we'd be talking about the Crypt Keeper today like we do.
Yeah, no, yeah. I agree that I do think the Crypt Keeper in season 1 is probably creepier and the uncanny. I see all that. The puppet doesn't move quite as much. It's a little stranger, but that's not really what I want from Tales from the Crypt. So I like, fully animated puppet making jokes and little feet swinging around, wearing costumes. That's what I come for. That's the Crypt Keeper I love. So maybe not as creepy, but I don't want him to be creepy.
Yeah, there's something like almost childlike about the season 1 Crypt Keeper, which makes it a little more unsettling. So yeah, if you want unsettling Crypt Keeper, yeah, but as he develops, he turns more into like a Bugs Bunny almost, like in personality and just kind of over the top zaniness. So I mean, yeah, I think that's the Crypt Keeper that we all kind of know and love. But you know, it's another flavor, so I'm not gonna poo-poo it. And I think, you know, if they wanted to keep it that way, if they thought that was good, they wouldn't have updated it. But obviously, they wanted it to be more animated, more lively, so they that's what they did for good effect. And who are we to argue against, you know, John Cassier and Greg Nicotero and all them?
Exactly.
No.
All right. Anything else before we wrap up, guys?
I don't think so. I gotta start packing early, because I get off work on Wednesday and then catch a red eye. So
yeah, go get your half passes if you still want to check out Chattanooga Film Fest. Yeah, it's good stuff. And the virtual side really is fun. Like, don't think that it's like the degraded version of it. Like, it's really a lot of fun.
Oh, and quick shout out to our friend Chris Gardner, whose band Temple of the Dads played a wonderful show at Gen X Fest. They just did like almost 3 hours worth of 90s alt rock covers, and it was a really fun time to benefit the Sweet Relief Musicians Fund.
That's super cool.
Oh, and Mondo,
go give them a follow.
You said you need to go ahead and start packing. I've already begun with my giant bag of Sour Patch Kids that gets me through the long days where we really only eat one meal. I have a lot of Sour Patch Kids and crackers.
I can't eat sugar, but I do envy the fact that you get to drive like an hour and a half, 2 hours,
hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah. And bring all the good things. I just need to give you a shopping list. Like, here, I need these things.
It's a lot easier.
Yeah. All right. Well, we appreciate everyone for listening. We really appreciate it if you would give us a rating and review on iTunes, a rating on Spotify, a like and subscribe on YouTube, and follow us at Dads from the Crypt Talk on TikTok. With that, I thank you for listening to Dads from the Crypt.
Follow Dads from the Crypt on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, or I will follow you to the grave. No, seriously, you really should watch. But be careful what you ask for. You may get it.